Hello, welcome to John's Author Diary for the weekend in September the 8th. I've had a productive week, but it's been a difficult week. I started work on Book 12 of the Ravenglass Chronicles. Book 11 is complete, it's been edited, it's been formatted, it's ready to go. That's going to come out on September the 12th. Now, I've done 4 chapters on Book 12. This is called The Hangman. And I've been finding it really slow work, so I think what I need to do is go back, revisit my outline. I think I've basically outlined it and thought, I'll fill in some of the gaps when I go along, and so that's given me some resistance. So I just need to go back and do that. So what I've done instead is I have focused my attention on writing a non-fiction book. So I've written a book about author mindset called The Stoic Writer. And so what I've done is I've brought together lots of quotes by Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, people like that. And then I've written commentaries on those quotes about how they can be applied by authors. Now, I'll race through the first draft of that, and then I've done the second draft. So I've now sent that off to a bunch of beta readers. So I'm hoping to have that out quite soon. I've made me a cover. You know, non-fiction covers aren't as detailed and intricate as fiction ones. And because I can use things like Photoshop, it's actually not too taxing for me to put covers together for books like this. So that means I'm going to have 4 non-fiction books that are pretty much ready to go now. I've got one that's called 50 Ways to Generate Fiction Ideas, which is one that I'll give away for free for people who sign up to my mailing list. And this basically goes over different ways you can generate ideas for stories, get inspiration, things like that. Then I've got a book called Finish Your First Novel, which is basically an expanded, improved version of Stop Booking Around, which is a book that I put together last year. And then I've got Podcasting for Authors. So there's going to be all these non-fiction books that will come out in a short space of time. I do have a 4th non-fiction book that I want to write, which is all about productivity and time management and things like that. Getting past procrastination, self-discipline. So that one needs writing. I've got it outlined, I've got it planned. I know what the different chapters are going to look like. It's all in my head, but it's just getting it on the page now. And to be honest, I might end up doing it next week because I don't think my head's in fiction at the moment. You know, it's my dad's funeral next week. Not particularly looking forward to it, but I'm going to go to support my sisters, my mum, and I don't know whether that is one of those things that's kind of gnawing at the back of my head. I don't know. But I need to carry on with the second draft of the new version of The Fool, get that finished. I'm about halfway through that. And then I think after my dad's funeral, I've got the week after that, which is when we're having a new kitchen fitted. So there's going to be someone here all week hammering and bumbling around downstairs. So I think it's just going to be the next few weeks are going to be focused on editing. And I've got a friend coming on the 20th to stay as well. So that weekend will be a write-off in terms of work. So it's going to be the last week of September, really, before I can start to draft stuff again. And to be honest, I think that's when I'm going to start doing the Hangman. Messes up my schedule a bit, but I have got a lot of things in the backlog that need editing. So, you know, Blind Reset, Cleric of the Wasteland, these non-fiction books. I mean, I really want to get these non-fiction books out to the world as soon as possible, just so I can get some cash flow, because I'm halfway through the Ravenglass Chronicles. I've put together the first 2 novels of this series. This is basically a novella series that I'm doing, but I'm writing them so that they end the end of book 4, the end of book 11, and then the final book as novels. So the way it's looking is probably going to be a trilogy. Depending on the word counts for these next 5 books, it could be a quadrilogy, a quartet, whatever the word is. And so I am writing it with that in mind. But I don't want to do that thing where I'm just basically padding it out for the word count. I want the story to have what it needs. And if it means releasing the trilogy, that's great. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I want to buy some really, really good covers, probably illustrated. I want to get some maps done. I want to go all out on this epic fantasy kind of thing. So I guess I just need to get on with writing. I finished reading a book called Nevernight by J. Christoph. I love this. I thought this was really good. Very clever, kind of grimdark assassin fantasy. I mean, it's gory, it's a bit smutty, it's just really dark, really grim, really gritty. So I've gone straight on to book 2 called God's Grave, and I'm already about 20% in, and I'm really enjoying it. So I would highly recommend that series, but it's not for kids. And if you're easily offended by most things that you could find offensive, then probably not for you. So I'm continuing to post on my Patreon page. I'm already getting quite a way through the new version of Wizard of the Wasteland. It kind of makes me think, okay, I probably need to carry on with the rewrite of Book 2, which is Night of the Wasteland, because what I want to do is when that's finished is just go straight on to book 2. And so hopefully that'll keep me motivated to keep this rewrite up and to do the best job that I can, because that is starting to catch up. So if you do want to support me and support this podcast, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. For $1 a month, you get all access to the stories. You get this podcast a day early. So visit patreon.com/John Cronshaw author. That's JONCRONSHAW. Finally, I just want to mention that the episode of the SciFi Roundtable that went live is all about blind authors and blind characters. Now, obviously, I'm severely visually impaired. I have a guide dog called Digit, who I probably don't mention enough. But we had a roundtable with another blind author, Wesley Britton. Now, he's completely blind. He's got the same condition as me, which is called retinitis pigmentosa. And he is in his 60s, so his condition is much further along than mine. He's completely blind. So it's really cool to have a conversation about the experience of being a blind author and talking about some of the tools we use, talk about some of the issues we have, talk about the way we deal with characters and descriptions and things like that. So I think, for me anyway, it was fascinating. I think to anyone else listening, it should be interesting and different just to see, I guess, a different slant on the world. So please do check that out. Either look up SciFi Roundtable on wherever you get your podcast, or if you go to sfrtpodcast.libsyn, that's libsyn.com, and then you'll be able to see the podcast feed. And there's loads of stuff on there. We're quite the way in there with the episodes. We've been releasing at least an episode a week for over 6 months now. Last week I had Shane Thomas reading a chapter from my book, Blind Gambit. So I've not got an audiobook of that yet, but my plan is that when Blind Reset is finished, I want to get a audiobook done of books 1 and 2. So this will mean that it will be a decent length audiobook. So until next time, cheerio.